On a lonely crimson world, beneath the shadow of a giant planet, the last survivor of Earth kneels before a creature thought only to exist in myth. A dragon whose voice speaks not in sound, but directly into the mind, revealing a buried truth that could shatter everything humanity has ever believed about its origins. If you are new to the channel, then please subscribe to the channel and like the video, and tell us in the comments where you are watching from. Now, let's jump into the story. The crimson dust swirled beneath her boots as Lieutenant Commander Marin Dahl stepped onto the surface of the lonely moon. Above her, a giant planet loomed across the sky, its swirling clouds painted in shades of gold and rust. 3 smaller moons circled like silent guardians, each casting pale light over the barren land. Marin had not expected to live long enough to see this place. She was the last human from a broken fleet, a wanderer with no destination, carrying the weight of a vanished world on her shoulders. Her suit's oxygen gauge blinked weakly, telling her the air was thin, but just enough to breathe. The analyzer read 29% oxygen. She hesitated, then trusted the numbers, letting the helmet seals adjust. The first breath burned her lungs, metallic and sharp, but still it was air. She whispered, almost to herself, "So this rock breathes after all." Her voice was soft, yet it carried inside the helmet like a memory she could not escape. Oriel, her ship's artificial intelligence, crackled in her ear. Its once perfect voice had long since degraded into static. Environment unstable. Recommend immediate return. Marin exhaled, shaking her head. Too late for that, she said. She had not come here out of choice. The ship was failing, fuel nearly gone, and hope was a luxury she had abandoned months ago. She pressed a hand against a jagged crystal formation rising from the soil. The surface was rough, biting through the torn fabric of her glove. Her breath caught when she realized the crystal was not cold. It was warm, alive, pulsing with heat that made her sensors spike to 37 degrees and rising. Her heart pounded as she pulled her hand back. The ground shifted. Something vast moved in the shadows beyond the glowing tree line. Marin froze, eyes locked on the silhouette that stretched wider than any machine she had ever seen. Wings unfolded slowly, catching the orange light of the fading sun. Each scale shimmered with deep greens and blues, reflecting impossible colors she could hardly name. She whispered without meaning to, "A dragon." The figure did not lunge. It stood still, watching her with eyes shaped like vertical slits, glowing like twin stars. Marin's mind raced. Her training had covered first contact with strange life, but nothing had prepared her for this. No manual ever spoke of creatures from human myth stepping out of the dust. The silence pressed heavy around her. The dragon's presence seemed to bend the world, making everything smaller, slower. She felt both terrified and strangely calm, as if the moment itself demanded respect. Instinct guided her. Slowly, she lowered herself to one knee on the crimson soil. Whether it was submission or reverence, she could not tell, but it felt right. Oriel's static voice broke the silence again. Unauthorized biological entity detected. Recommend immediate withdrawal. The words grated against her ears. Marin muttered, "Thanks, Oriel, but I think we passed that point." Her eyes never left the creature. The dragon inhaled, its chest rising like a mountain. The sound rumbled low, vibrating the ground beneath her. A strange scent filtered through her helmet's damaged seals. Something sharp, like ozone after lightning, mixed with a sweetness she could not place. Then it happened. The voice entered her mind, not through her ears, but through her very thoughts. It was neither male nor female, but carried a weight that pressed on her bones. "Your species," the voice said, slow and steady, "always kneels when truth draws near." Marin's breath hitched. You can speak?" The words slipped out before she could think. A deep rumble came from the creature's chest, like laughter echoing inside stone. "I do not speak. I think, and you understand. Sound is unnecessary." Her pulse raced. She tried to steady herself, remembering the basic steps of first contact. Show no threat, attempt dialogue, measure intent. Her voice shook, but she forced herself to speak. "My name is Lieutenant Commander Marin Dahl. I come in peace." The dragon tilted its massive head, eyes narrowing with a glimmer of amusement. The heat radiating from its body warmed the air between them, making Marin's sensors beep warnings she ignored. She realized then that this moment was larger than survival. She was not only standing before an alien life form, she was standing before a being that seemed older than any history she had known. The dragon's thought pressed deeper into her mind, steady and unyielding. "You call Earth your home, but Earth was never where your kind began." Marin's stomach clenched. Confusion and disbelief flooded her. She wanted to protest, to deny it, but the words stuck in her throat. "What do you mean?" she whispered. The dragon lowered its head until its glowing eyes were level with hers. "Your people were placed there, grown like seeds in a garden. Earth was never your origin. It was only the beginning you were meant to remember." Her heart hammered as the truth echoed in her mind. The loneliness of her survival, the unanswered questions of human history, the strange gaps in science, all of it suddenly seemed to tilt into a new shape. The sun dipped lower, shadows stretching across the red ground. The gas giant's vast form climbed higher casting a pale glow over the moment. Marin knelt in silence, caught between fear and awe, realizing she had just heard the first sign of a truth far greater than she had ever imagined. And as the dragon's laughter rumbled once again, Marin knew the story of humanity was only beginning to unravel. The silence of the moon stretched around Marin Dahl as she remained kneeling before the great creature. The dragon's eyes glowed brighter, and she felt its presence pressing deeper into her mind. It was not a sound, not a vibration, but a thought that carried weight far heavier than words. "You call yourself human," the voice said, slow and deliberate. "Yet you do not know where your kind began." Marin swallowed hard, her throat dry inside the helmet. She forced herself to speak, though her voice was faint. "We came from Earth. It is our home world. Our history tells us so." A low rumble echoed from the dragon's chest, and though it resembled laughter, it carried a gravity that made the ground tremble. "Your history was rewritten, fragments removed. You live in a story shaped to keep you blind." Her AI, Oriel, broke in with static-filled urgency. "Anomaly detected. Caution advised." Its broken tone only heightened the unease already burning in Marin's chest. "Explain," she demanded, her voice sharper now, even as her heart raced. "What do you mean rewritten? Why would anyone alter human history?" The dragon's thoughts brushed against her mind again. "Because knowledge is power, and your kind was not ready for the truth. When your ancestors first walked upon Earth, they were not born of that soil. They were placed there. Your DNA carries markers of design, threads too precise to have formed by chance." Marin shook her head, fighting to keep her breath steady. "That's impossible. Our scientists studied evolution, fossils, records. Everything points to Earth. Your scientists discovered fragments," the dragon answered, "but never the whole. Gaps remain in your story, bridges that do not connect. Intelligence grew too quickly. Memory does not align with evidence. Do you not question why? Her suit's neural implant flickered warnings across her vision. Corrupted files detected. Reconstruction initiated. Marin blinked in surprise as Oriel's voice cracked again. Hidden data log, partial recovery, Genesis protocol. The words froze her in place. Genesis protocol? She whispered. The dragon leaned closer, its massive head lowering until the heat of its breath fogged her visor. Yes, Genesis was the name your ancestors gave to the project that seeded your kind across chosen worlds. Earth was one among many. Your civilization grew in the soil of a garden carefully prepared, but you were not the first nor the only. Visions flooded Marin's mind. She saw great vessels moving through the dark, their shapes half organic, half mechanical. Like living ships, she saw them descend into barren planets, releasing clouds of engineered life that reshaped skies and seas. She watched as barren rock shifted into fertile ground, as winds carried seeds that sprouted into forests, and as waters filled with new forms of life. She gasped, trying to steady herself. "You're showing me this. These are memories?" The dragon's thought was calm, steady. They are records, impressions carried within the fabric of your being. Your kind has always dreamed of stars and strange landscapes, because those dreams are not imagination alone. They are echoes of beginnings long hidden. Oriel's voice came again, softer now, as though fighting through corrupted systems. Partial log recovered. Date, approximately 700,000 years before Common Era. Project Genesis approved. Memory recalibration mandatory. Marin felt her stomach tighten. Memory recalibration. The words sounded clinical, but the meaning was clear. "You erased us," she whispered. "Not erased," the dragon corrected. Prote, to grow without interference. Humans needed to believe Earth was their sole home. Innocence gave you freedom, but now, that illusion no longer serves. Marin pressed her hand against the soil, grounding herself. Her mind raced with disbelief, anger, and a dangerous thread of hope. If Earth had been only one cradle, did that mean others existed? Could there be more of her kind out there, hidden among the stars? She looked up again, her voice trembling. "Why are you telling me this now? Why me?" The dragon's great wings shifted, folding against its body, with a sound like shifting stone. "Because you are the last of your people from Earth, yet not the last of your kind. Survival alone does not make you chosen, but resilience does. You endured when others fell. You listened when despair should have silenced you. That makes you worthy to hear the truth." The words echoed in her mind like a tide rolling in. She wanted to argue, but a part of her clung to the possibility. If humanity had been seated in more than one place, then she was not as alone as she had believed. The dragon's eyes softened, if such a thing could be said of eyes that shone like liquid crystal. "You feel alone, but you are not. Others remain, scattered, hidden, growing on distant worlds. They, too, wait for the moment when the truth will be revealed." Marin's breath caught. Hope surged sharp and painful in her chest. "Others? You mean more humans?" The dragon's low laugh rolled through her mind again. "Yes, more humans. Some ahead of you in progress, some far behind. But they exist. You will learn their names in time." The horizon shifted as the gas giant's light grew stronger, painting the land in silver and crimson. Marin stared at the glowing landscape, her thoughts tumbling like stones in a river. Everything she had believed about Earth, about human history, about herself, was dissolving. Yet in its place grew something she had not felt in months, something almost forgotten. It was not peace, nor certainty. It was possibility. And as the dragon watched her in silence, Marin realized this was only the beginning of truths too vast to deny. Marin Dahl stood motionless as the dragon's words sank deeper into her thoughts. Her heart raced, not only with fear, but also with the spark of revelation. If what the creature claimed was true, then everything she had been taught about human history was a carefully constructed lie. The vast wings folded behind the dragon shimmered with reflected light from the giant planet rising above the horizon. Its eyes held her steady, not cruel, but heavy with the weight of knowledge too large for one mind. Marin felt the ground beneath her vibrate faintly, as though the land itself carried a pulse, echoing the truth she was beginning to accept. Her AI companion, Oriel, crackled in her ear again. File fragments reconstructed, origin classification, project genesis log, speaker identified, Dr. Anwin Corvus. A distorted voice pushed through static. A woman spoke with calm conviction, though her tone carried hidden sorrow. To those who recover this message, know that humanity was designed for resilience, not destruction. Empathy was coded into your DNA to ensure survival without surrendering compassion. We could not allow military exploitation to strip away this foundation. It was our act of protection. The message cut to silence, leaving Marin frozen. Her breath came shallow. Dr. Anwin Corvus was not some name from her remembered history. This was a person who had lived hundreds of thousands of years ago, shaping the very essence of human identity. She whispered to herself, "We were engineered, not by chance, but by choice." The dragon's voice filled her mind again. Calm and vast. Yes, the empathy that kept you alive in isolation, the determination that carried you through ruin. These are not accidents. They were planted like seeds. Humanity was meant to feel, to endure, to create meaning even in despair. Marin shook her head slowly, still struggling against the flood of revelation. But Earth was everything to us. We believed it was our home, our origin. The dragon's reply was measured. Belief shapes identity. Earth gave you unity and purpose. It became the story that bound you. But beneath that story lay another, buried and waiting. Now you must face it. The crimson soil crunched under Marin's boots as she shifted uncomfortably. Her mind raced with conflicting emotions. Anger at being deceived, grief for the world lost, and a fragile bloom of hope that maybe humanity's story had not ended after all. "If Earth was never our true origin," she said, her voice trembling, "then why did you not stop its destruction? Why let billions die if you claim we are your creation?" For the first time, the dragon's voice carried sorrow that pressed heavy into her chest. "We are not omnipotent. Interference was forbidden. The rule of non-interference allowed you to grow without constant shaping. We watched. We guided only from afar. The destruction of your world was not part of the design. It was a failure, one that weighs even upon us." Marin clenched her fists, feeling anger rise. "A failure? 8 billion lives lost, and you call it a failure?" The dragon bowed its head slightly, a gesture that seemed more humble than defensive. Words cannot hold the weight of what was lost. Yet from ruin, possibility remains. You are not alone. Others live. Scattered colonies survived beyond your solar system. And here, on this moon, preparations were made long before your birth. As if answering its own claim, the ground near the glowing tree began to shift. Soil and dust slid aside. revealing a vast opening in the rock. A staircase carved with precise lines descended into darkness. Faint lights blinked to life one by one along the walls, illuminating an entrance that had waited in silence for thousands of years. Marin took a step back, stunned. "This was here all along? For 15,000 of your years," the dragon replied. "Inside lies an outpost prepared for your kind. Habitation pods, agriculture, medical facilities, knowledge archives. It was built to ensure survival when the time came for humanity to begin anew." Her pulse hammered in her ears. Everything she saw confirmed the creature's words. It was not only telling her truths, it was showing her the evidence carved into the land itself. The thought hit her suddenly, sharp as lightning. "So we were an experiment," she whispered bitterly. "A project you created to watch." The dragon's response was steady. "All life is an experiment. The question is not whether you were designed, ... but how you choose to grow. Design does not limit destiny. It offers a beginning. What you do with that beginning is yours." The words lingered in her thoughts like a weight she could not shake. Marin's knees weakened, and she sank down onto the soil. Her gaze lifted to the gas giant, now dominating the horizon, its swirling clouds burning in crimson and gold. The sight felt both alien and familiar, as if her eyes recognized something her memory had forgotten. "This place," she said quietly, "it feels almost like home." "Because it is," the dragon answered. "Your species was modeled here, refined in this soil, under this sky. You were seated on Earth, but this world carries the patterns that shaped you. It is your hidden homeland." Tears pricked her eyes, though she fought them back. To think that all of humanity's questions about origin, about purpose, had been reduced to fragments of truth left buried beneath lies. Yet even as despair threatened to pull her down, a new thought rose within her. If she was not alone, if other colonies of humans had survived, then perhaps the end of Earth was not the end of her people. The dragon's voice softened, like an echo of comfort. "You wonder why I chose you. I did not choose. You endured. You listened. The qualities that kept you alive are the same that will guide what comes next." Marin looked at the vast staircase leading into the hidden facility. She did not know what waited below, but she understood this much. She was no longer only a survivor. She was standing at the threshold of humanity's hidden past and the doorway to its possible future. And as the wind carried red dust across the barren plain, Marin realized the truth was larger than she could ever imagine. Humanity was not the end of a story. It was only a chapter in something far greater. Marin Dahl stood at the edge of the staircase leading into the ancient facility. The opening glowed faintly, as if welcoming her into a past she had never known. Yet before she could take a step, the air above her rippled like disturbed water. Her neural implant flashed warnings. Spatial anomaly detected. She looked up and froze. The sky itself seemed to fold inward, bending light into impossible shapes. Colors shimmered that no human eye should understand. Marin shielded her face, but the vision pressed directly into her mind, bypassing her senses. The dragon's deep voice resonated within her thoughts. "They are here. The Council of Architects has come to see you." Her chest tightened. She had imagined many dangers: death from hunger, silence of the void, storms of alien worlds, but never the judgment of beings who claim to shape entire civilizations. As the distortion stabilized, 7 figures emerged in a semicircle above the barren ground. Each being shifted between form, adopting shapes her human mind could grasp. One appeared as a phoenix, burning with living fire. Another shimmered as a colossal serpent, suspended in the air, scales like liquid silver. Beside them stood a crystalline figure, its body shining like carved diamond. Others blurred into forms both wondrous and terrifying, creatures from myths scattered across forgotten human stories. Marin fell to her knees again, not from choice, but from awe. Every instinct screamed that she was standing before powers far older and greater than anything she had imagined. The phoenix spoke first. Its voice entered her mind as music carried on light. "Lieutenant Commander Marin Dahl," it said, calling her name as if it had always known it. "You are the last child of Earth to stand unbroken. We have watched, and now we must decide if humanity is ready to learn who it truly is." Marin struggled to steady her breath. "I don't understand what you want from me." The crystalline being's voice was sharp and clear, each word cutting like glass. "Understanding is the test. How well do you grasp the truth that has been given to you?" Her thoughts tumbled like stones in a river. She swallowed and forced herself to speak slowly. We were not born on Earth. We were seeded there. Humanity was designed, shaped with intention. Empathy was coded into us. Earth was destroyed, but other colonies survived. And now, you want us to rejoin something greater, some galactic community. The serpent's voice flowed into her mind, calm and endless like water. A simple summation, yet your words show clarity. You comprehend enough to take the next step. Marin clenched her fists, finding courage in her trembling voice. If we were designed, then why should we obey? If humanity is just an experiment, why not let us live free, without masters? A deep rumble rolled through the dragon beside her. Not laughter, but approval. "Choice," it said. "That is the core of your being. Even designed life must choose. The Council has not come to command you. They have come to ask." The phoenix leaned forward, its flames brightening. "Then we ask, Marin Dahl, will you accept the role of bridge between your scattered kind and the wider community of seeded worlds? Will you help humanity rise beyond isolation?" Her mind spun. Only days ago, she had been a survivor drifting in the silence of space, certain her species was gone. Now she was being asked to stand as ambassador to powers beyond imagining. The weight pressed on her shoulders like a mountain. She thought of Earth, its oceans, its forests, its people. She thought of the laughter of children, the quiet pride of scientists, the determination of explorers. Though Earth was gone, its spirit lived in memory. And she thought of the number the dragon had given her, 7,322 survivors. It was so few, yet it was more than none. It was hope. She raised her head, her voice shaking but steady with resolve. "I accept. I will not let humanity vanish into silence. If others live, they deserve to know the truth. And if we are to join others, then let us do it with open eyes, not illusions." For a long moment, the council was silent. Then the crystalline being inclined its gleaming head. "Adequate, more than adequate. Your clarity confirms the readiness we required." Light shimmered around the 7 beings. Their forms blurred, shifting between myth and mystery until Marin could hardly look. Before the vision faded, the serpent spoke again. "You are not alone, Marin Dahl. 73 colonies wait across the stars. Each will learn in time. You shall be their beginning." The vision dissolved, leaving only the barren sky and the silent dragon standing beside her. Marin's knees weakened, and she sank against the crimson soil. Did that just happen?" she whispered. The dragon lowered its head in a gesture of res. "Yes, the council has confirmed what I already knew. Your people are ready, and tomorrow, your survivors will arrive here. This world will become your new cradle." Marin stared at the staircase leading into the hidden facility. For the first time since Earth's destruction, she felt more than despair. She felt direction. She felt purpose. The dragon's scales shimmered with the last light of the setting sun as it bowed its massive head toward her. "Your journey was long and solitary, but you endured, and because you endured, humanity endures." Marin looked up at the sky, where stars now pierced the growing night. Her chest ached with grief, but also with something brighter. Choice, she realized, was the only gift that mattered, and she had chosen not to let humanity's story end. In that moment, she whispered to herself, "Tomorrow we begin again."